Welcome back to Founders in the Field, the show where we go behind the scenes to speak to agency leaders, consultants, and creative founders to show you how they're building, scaling, and staying sane in the trenches. I'm your host, Stefan Bradley, and today I'm joined by James Newell, founder of Clear Sales Message. How are you doing, James?
I'm good, thanks. I want to hear how to stay sane. I'm looking forward to that bit.
So I start every podcast with the same question. For people who don't know your story, take us right back to the start of your journey and what made you start your business.
Yeah, well, I was one of those people. I always wanted to start my own business, but I never really knew what I wanted to do. So I was working for a big car manufacturer at the time. I was a key account manager, and I was only supposed to be there for about 6 months or so till I worked out what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I found 12 years later, I found myself still there. And I had this really terrible realization that you can be really, really good at something. And I did do very, very well. But I just wasn't happy at all. And it got, I started to have children and then house and everything else. I thought, oh my goodness, if I don't deal with this now, I'm never ever going to start my own business. So I started to think about, well, who could I mingle with? What could I do to get out of where I'm at to get some ideas? And I thought public speaking is probably a good place to start because I didn't know if I was any good at it or not. But if people are learning to public speak, they've probably got their own business. I can mingle with them. Maybe I can, it's called opening invisible doors. Maybe I can open some invisible doors and find some people and just start some things happening. So I started to do that. And I remember distinctly complaining to this guy, saying, I don't know what to do, blah, blah, blah. He said, look, you've had a really, really successful sales career. And I did 600 million quid worth of sales in 12 years for this company. I never missed a monthly target ever in my time there. I worried about every single month. I always point that out. I was never, and that's probably why I did it. I worried about it. There's a reason I'm bald. But he said, look, why don't you look at what you've done, like deconstruct it. What's your methodology? How are you doing this? And then teach it to people. So, sounds good to me. So he introduced me to something called BNI, Business Networking International, the well-known networking group. I started going to those meetings and talking to people, and I ended up talking to a couple of people and saying, I was very honest with them. I was doing my free time or my days off, and I said, look, I can definitely help you sell more stuff, but I'm learning. I have no idea what this is going to look like. So if you don't mind taking a chance on me, and I've got 600 million reasons to tell me it's probably going to actually work, if you don't mind that, I won't charge you. I'll learn, you'll benefit, we'll both win. Is that okay? 6 people said, yeah, sure, sounds great. Like free consulting, who wouldn't want that? So I started working with these people, and the first question I would ask them is, tell me about your business. And literally, that's where they all fell over. Nobody can give you a really good account of what they actually, or not nobody, but very few people can give you a good account of what they actually do. What do you do? It's like the hardest question in business. But things like, what do you do? How do you do it? Why should I choose you? Why would I need your services in the first place or your product? These really, really basic buyer questions were just flooring the people I was talking to. Either they couldn't answer, the answer was really long, or it's too short. So I ended up thinking about it, and I thought, well, let's look at this piece first. And again, I did a lot of complaining at that time. I was complaining to my brother at this point, and I said, I'm not teaching people how to sell. I'm getting stuck on this boring messaging bit, like how they explain their business. I haven't even got into selling yet. And it was literally like 6 out of 6 people needed that. And he said, well, there you go. The market's telling what it wants. That's your product market fit. You are the message guy. Just build around that. Like that is the need. And it just so happens that I've got 2 kind of abilities. One is I can understand things really, really quickly. And the other one is I can explain them really, really simply. So we applied that to that. And then I really realized that I wanted a really good name for what I was doing and a really defined offering. So I came up with the term Clear Sales Message. I had a fixed cost, fixed deliverable offering. And I remember the very first BNI 60 seconds that I gave when I went from my wishy-washy, I can help you sell more. And it was very difficult to get anybody to buy anything to, if you struggle to explain what you do, I can help you. You need a clear sales message. This is what it is. This is what it costs, blah, blah, blah. And somebody bought from that first 60-second pitch. And I was like, this is proof. Like, this is it. And then from there, I've kind of turned sales and selling into paint by numbers. So I wanted to look into how it all works. I've got a very, very diverse, a very large methodology of how to sell in any given situation. I lecture on that at universities, and I've had over 500 clients at this point. I've written books. I've done all sorts of stuff. But the main thing for me was I went from not really knowing what I wanted to do, but having all the get up and go to do it, to finding the thing so I could finally channel that energy. And the thing that really changed for me was when I asked people for help. And I got out there and I was vulnerable and honest. So like, I really don't know what I'm doing, but please, can you help me? And when I let my guard down, because I'd spent years trying to Google my way out of this mess and it didn't happen. But when I let my guard down and asked for help, that was when it changed. So that's, in a nutshell, that's kind of my history and where I'm at.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think lots and lots of people can resonate with your story there, with having lots of get up and go, but not having
nowhere to put it.
Yeah, not having the direction of where to put it exactly.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, but to take yourself out of your comfort zone to go to public speaking classes, I've not actually ever heard of that before. So it's like, because it's unheard of, because it's public fear number one.
Yeah, that's it. It was either that or dying, so that I'll do public speaking, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it worked very well. I recommend it.
No, definitely. Perfect. So, on to the next question. You help B2B teams clarify their sales messaging to generate more leads and close more deals. What was the moment that you realized that the biggest gap holding teams back, and how do you help clients fix it?
Well, the biggest gap, like I say, is that bit at the start where people, generally companies either have or are aware of brand guidelines, so these logos, these fonts, these colors. But when it comes to what they say and how they communicate about what they're selling, they either have a really kind of prescriptive script which doesn't work. So if this was a sales call, hello, how are you? Yes, would you like to? You can tell when somebody's reading something, or they just leave it to chance and people can say what they want. So from those first 6 companies and people that I work with, it was really clear that it's missed. It's like the biggest missing piece in sales and selling is what to say to sell. And when you work out what that is, and there's certain arguments and assets and questions, and it's not a great deal of stuff you're going to be asked, but when you're ready for it, when you've got an answer for everything, you can maximize every conversation you're having and not leaving it to chance. And there's a big part of this. There's lots of problems. One of the biggest problems is people don't sound like they know what they're talking about. So most people, by definition, are probably quite good at what they do. That's why they do what they do when they're in business. But if they don't sound like they know what they're doing, it can be disconcerting for me as a buyer. So that's really kind of the main gap that I close, is helping people to sound like they know what they're doing.
Perfect. And after you fixed the initial, just explaining what they do and in a clear way, was that like an aha moment for you and the client as well?
Oh, totally. Well, I was my first customer, essentially, because when I got my own offering to a really good name, fixed deliverable, fixed cost, and it was all very kind of finite, rather than, it's £100 an hour and I don't know how long it's going to take. Once I got it all concise, it worked for me. And for all the clients I work with, but definitely for those first few, like the paradigm shift it had in the conversations they're having, the conversion, it was like I discovered fire. It was unbelievable. And every person that I spoke to, every business, to a greater or lesser extent, needed or still needs what I do. So I've got this strange thing where what I do is really, really, really niche. Like I help people explain what they do for a living. It's so niche, but it's a mile deep. Everybody needs it.
Yeah, so I suppose like that's not really, you don't really have, you're not stuck to one industry, because every industry basically needs to know how to sell, because you can have the best product in the world, but if you can't sell it, then you're not going to be in business too long.
That's it. And the principles of selling, the principles of communication, it doesn't matter if you're selling a product, a service, a hotel room, a flight, a medal, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's the same. The buyer has a need. You have to understand it, communicate certain things. Yeah, I'm completely industry agnostic. It doesn't matter what you're selling.
Yeah, no. And the proof of concept was with yourself, which is
I am ground zero. Yeah, I'm my own first customer, and that's really, for a lot of businesses, that's what happens, right? You fix a problem for yourself, and then you fix it for other people and charge them, and that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah. No, amazing. Just switching gears a little bit.
Sure.
What is your practice for generating leads, and how do you avoid churn?
Well, my practice for generating leads, my main sources are social media, where I publish daily on 7 platforms. That's exciting. I've got a daily podcast because I'm crazy, because I haven't got enough free time. And then I've got a little bit of kind of LinkedIn outreaches going on with a certain message sequence that I send to people, and I drive them to a lead magnet video that I've got, and that gets me 1 to 3 or 5 leads every single day.
Wow. So it's very successful then.
It works well. It took a while to get there, let me tell you, but it works well.
Yeah, no, definitely. Sales has changed massively post-COVID, and with tech like AI, Zoom, Riverside like we're on now, from your lens, what's the biggest shift that you've seen in how B2B companies should be selling today?
Well, the biggest shift is not falling into the AI trap too easily. I see, and it's called AI slop. I see where you just produce any old garbage and you just post it. So I've seen lots of people create AI generated social posts and images and all sorts of stuff with a disregard for quality. They're putting all of their faith into AI, and I just think it's a bad thing to do. Like, AI is awesome, and for idea generation, it's great. But I think you've got to show up in your content, whether it's you actually speaking, like it is on my podcast when I do it, or whether it's you can feel somebody's energy in something they've written. Like, it's very different if AI writes it. I think the era of the personal brand is now, and if you're not a recognizable person or team or brand, I think you have a big problem, because literally everybody's using AI. So it's not a differentiator. It's something that's really eroding the quality of outreach, the quality of communication, and yeah, there's a lot of positives, but a lot of negatives too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's on how you use AI is like the main point of it. Do you know what I mean? Because for selling, and like you just said then, there's never been a time where human to human contact is more valued, because we're deprived of it more now than we probably have been for a long time since pre-internet, I would say.
Yeah.
So the value of human connection is massive at the minute.
And the value for that for me is twofold. So the first one is like whatever kind of psychological, energetic stuff happens when you talk to another actual human being, even through Zoom or in real life. But there's also the element of, this can't be faked. I'm here. You have my attention and my time and my energy. I'm focusing on you. And that's really important, because buyers need to feel that. They need to feel like they matter and that you care about them. And and I think a lot of people, this AI slop stuff, they miss that. It's like, oh, I'll just put up 1 million posts and we'll see what happens. If I feel like I'm just a number in a machine, or I'm being spammed with stuff, I'm not going to like it, and I'm going to pull away from it ultimately.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I feel like the sales part of any sort of process is going to be so hard for AI to be able to take over, because they don't know how we have human emotion and how we can play on like dream states and things like that. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to like transition across all of this in an articulate way without sounding like a robot. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, it'll probably get there at some point, but for the time being, I think we're okay. I'm very careful about what I put into ChatGPT so it doesn't steal all my good ideas. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's good for automation and closing the gaps, and so kind of like handling information and stuff like that. But you couldn't wholesale just have somebody talk to a chatbot and buy something, unless it was super low ticket or whatever. That's not happening anytime soon. He says, hopefully this age as well.
Definitely. And like something so valuable as well. Do you know what I mean? It devalues it when you're speaking to a machine, like you said, a low ticket thing. Like if you're in the market, for buying something trivial, then you probably don't need to be sold to like that. And you could be used a chatbot just to speak to you, no problem. But if it's something you're trying to put across as high value, if you're not a human doing it, then it doesn't come across high value. So then they're not going to buy.
Exactly, and it comes back to that attention piece and feeling important, which is so crucial for the buyer. They have to feel important, they have to feel in control, and if they don't, it's not going to happen.
Definitely, 100%. So in your own business right now, what's the biggest bottleneck or friction point that slows you down or makes growth harder than it needs to be?
Exactly what we just spoke about. So I've made 700 podcast episodes to the point where I'm talking to you right now. I post every single day on 7 platforms. So me doing the old-fashioned thing of actually hand making, sounds weird, isn't it? But hand making all of my content takes a ton of time, but I know it's worth it. So it's not really a bottleneck, but it does take a huge amount of my time to do it. Huge amount.
No, I can see that as well. 700 episodes. Wow. You're a trooper.
I'm insane. Shall I explain to you why that happened? It's a funny story. So I met a guy at a networking event, and he was like in the world of podcasts, and he said, "My goodness, you should have a podcast. It would be awesome. You'd say some really cool things, and you'd talk a lot. You should have a podcast." And I've been putting off for years. I bought the domain name for my podcast in 2019, and I was talking to this guy in 2023. So 4 years, I'd had the idea, done nothing with it. So where am I going to find time for that? And in the end, I could, when you can hear yourself giving somebody BS excuses, I was like, what am I saying? Like, that's it. I'm committing today. That's it. It's going to be a daily podcast. There you go. And that's like 710 days ago, and that's it, because I'm stubborn.
So you do weekends as well?
Yeah, so I batch record, of course, but yeah, I film about 20 to 30 episodes a week. They're like 3 to 5 minutes, 20 to 30 a week, and then they're scheduled up. And whenever I hit a milestone, I send it to the guy. So when I hit a 50, 100, 500, etc. So I'm looking forward to sending him the 1,000th episode, be like, told you.
Told you. Everybody loves I told you so moments.
It'll be worth the effort, I'm sure.
Yeah, I bet. So, James, you talk a lot about clarity and alignment in messaging. What do most businesses get wrong when trying to craft a compelling offer or pitch?
Okay, so couple of things. I mean, there's about 700 things, but a couple of the top ones. The first one is most businesses sell the wrong thing. So we don't focus on what our clients are really buying. The way I explain this is with airline adverts. So in an airline advert, you'll see a destination, Eiffel Tower, Vegas, all that cool stuff. You'll very rarely see a plane or a plane seat. And that's because do you want a holiday and do you want to buy a plane seat are two very different questions. And one is far more attractive than the other. So what they're doing is, and it's a fancy word for something very simple, it's called syntax. So they change, which is ordering. They're changing the ordering of what they focus on. So as humans, we're kind of naturally wired to focus on what matters to us first. So this is where you end up feature dumping on people saying, oh, this is the mouse and it's all good and blah, blah, blah. And the buyer just doesn't care because they want to know what it's going to do for them. It's going to meet their needs. So the big mistake people make is they sell the wrong thing. And generally your buyers are looking for a feeling or an emotion as a result of what you're selling them. So for clear sales message, my clients are actually buying confidence most of the time, because if you've got an answer for everything and you know what you say is going to land and it's somebody's going to buy at the end of it, you feel very, very different. So that's the first one. The second one is articulating the problem that you actually solve. So why do you exist in the first place? What's the problem that you solve? If you could name it, and if you can have like a visualization, or you can articulate how the problem comes to be and what makes it better and worse and so on and so forth, your ability to articulate the problem implies your ability to provide the solution. But so many people, if you say to them, hey, what's the problem you solve? They'll give you a very waffly round the houses answer. We need something very concise. Oh, it's actually the blah blah problem. This is what it is. There we go. Because it shows I understand you. So I'll give you two for now. Honestly, I could talk for hours, but there's two top ones: selling the wrong thing and the problem that you solve.
Yeah. So just going back to that first one, it's sort of like you're selling the dream state that they're going to be in after buying the product, as opposed to buy my product.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you've got to consider is why are they buying it? Why are they buying it? Everything is a vehicle for something else. So it's to get you somewhere. And if you can understand that, and even if you're in B2B, B2C, doesn't matter, you're always dealing with humans. So generally it comes back to a feeling or an emotion. So like with my podcast, I guess one of the reasons I started that is like I want to feel proud, because when I go back to that guy and say, did 1,000 episodes, I feel great, right? So that's one of my motivators for that. But you have to have that awareness, and once you understand your bias in that way, and you can theme your communication accordingly around pride and peace of mind and whatever it happens to be, that's when you magically connect with them and they feel understood.
Okay. Thank you. That's sick. What does success look like for you and your business over the next 6 to 12 months? Are you more focused on scaling, refining, or evolving what you've built?
Nice. Okay, so my definition of success, first of all, is always the same when people laugh. So I've got one of those outdoor sofas, one of those like corner sofas. So my definition of success is me doing work I want to do that I enjoy on my outdoor sofa. I'm completely location and time independent, all those things everybody wants. I've got all of that. So like I am already successful in that way. Like forget money. I am successful because I've achieved that. In terms of going forward, absolutely. So my methodology is shaped in such a way that it's modular, it's evergreen, and I'm in a kind of a scaling season now where I'm digitizing what I have so I can reach more and more people. So I can move from one-to-one, done for you, done with you, to completely do it yourself and scaling in that way. So that's the plan.
Wow. That's the plan. Sounds good. It sounds good.
I might buy a second sofa. Who knows?
James, if I handed you a magic wand and you could instantly fix one thing in your business apart from creating 10 of yourself, what would you fix and why?
That's a very, very good question. What would I fix? I think I'd use it to create content much more quickly. So I'd literally have to record myself, and I talk and I go through the motions. And although I love to do it, it takes a lot of time. So if I could wave a magic wand, I'd make that a bit quicker. And I suppose that's what AI kind of is, isn't it? People are waving a magic wand, but you're losing then that personal element, ultimately. Mm-hmm. And then secondly, I'd wave a magic wand to get my hair back, but I think that's not going to happen.
Oh, funny. So you've worked with loads of founders and sales teams. What's the one piece of advice you'd give to someone trying to grow faster but feeling stuck?
Talk to people and ask questions. So I was very, very lucky back in 2018, around the time I started my business, that I got a TEDx talk, which can't be about business. So I did it about, and they set the theme. So it's about the power of community. And the thing for me is the moment, and I already kind of mentioned this, the moment I asked people for help and I was vulnerable, and I said, look, what do I do? Like, I'm not, please help me. Everything changed and my timeline just accelerated. So the way I signed off that TEDx talk is kind of the advice that I give to people is the world is full of wonderful, wonderful people that really want to help you, but you have to ask them first. So don't be afraid to ask people. You'll be astonished how many good people out there really want to help you. That's my advice. And it just speeds things up dramatically.
Wow. Solid advice, James. Solid advice.
Because I've been on the receiving end of it too, right? So I know.
No, exactly. Sure. Speaking from experience. Exactly.
Yeah,
speaking from experience.
And I pay it forward.
What my guests want to hear. Yeah, no, brilliant, brilliant. So, James, before we wrap up, where can our listeners find you and connect with you online?
Best place is LinkedIn. So James Newell, Clear Sales Message. You can find me there. I'm there a lot. And then my own podcast, if I'm okay to mention it, I don't know, it's called The Daily Sales Message. So you'll find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the good places, but The Daily Sales Message. And each day I share a bit of simple, actionable advice. They're like 3 to 5 minutes long, the episodes.
Brilliant. So guys, that's where you need to check James out to get your advice for sales, 100%. Brilliant, though. Thanks again for coming on and sharing such valuable insights into your business and the world of B2B sales. I really appreciate it. Honestly, the depth today, I took a lot of takeaways for the audience.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, James. We're done.